anti-COVID-19 volunteer Toronto task force. Please maintain a social distance of at least 6 feet. Again, please maintain social distancing. Please help stop the spread of this virus. Reduce the death toll and save lives. For your own safety and your family's safety, please maintain social distancing. Thank you for your cooperation. We are all in this together.
Thank you for shopping at your local Walmart. Please remember to wash your hands often and practice good social separation of at least 6 feet when possible.
Good evening, London. There are, of course, those who do not want us to speak. Why? Because while the truncheon may be used in lieu of conversation, words will always retain their power. Words offer the means to meaning, and for those who will listen, the enunciation of truth. And the truth is, there is something terribly wrong with this country, isn't there? Cruelty and injustice, intolerance and oppression. And where once you had the freedom to object, to think and speak as you saw fit, you now have censors and systems of surveillance coercing your conformity. And how did this happen? Who's to blame? And truth be told, if you're looking for the guilty, you need only look into a mirror. I know why you did it. I know you were afraid. Who wouldn't be? War, terror, disease. There were a myriad of problems which conspired to corrupt your reason and rob you of your common sense. Fear got the best of you, and in your panic you turned to the now High Chancellor.
You know, having been through other serious issues, particularly the very painful early years of HIV, AIDS, when people talk about conspiracy theories, you will always have conspiracy theories when you have very challenging public health crises. They are nothing but distractions. You know, I can assure you, we have so much to do to protect the health and the welfare of the American people that I would just hope we just put those conspiracy stuff and let somebody write a book about it later on, but not now.
President recognizes Mr. Adams of Massachusetts.
Objects of the most stupendous magnitude. Measures which will affect the lives of millions, born and unborn, are now before us. We must expect a great expense of blood to obtain them. But we must always remember that a free constitution of civil government cannot be purchased at too dear a rate, as there is nothing on this side of Jerusalem of greater importance to mankind. I believe, sirs, that the hour has come. My judgment approves this measure, and my whole heart is in it. All that I have, all that I am, and all that I hope in this life, I am now ready to stake upon it. While I live, let me have a country. A free country.
Whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is in the right of the people to alter or abolish it and to institute new government. The history of the present King of Great Britain is a history of repeated injuries, all having in direct object the establishment of an absolute tyranny over these states.
Tyranny by its very definition, is cruel and oppressive government or rule over a nation, people, or individual. The nature of tyranny is the desire for absolute power. Borders, language, and culture define a nation, while the border of a man's soul is his own skin. There are those who seek to violate our fundamental right to protect our most precious borders, that of our own bodies. Of all borders in this earthly realm, those of the body are the most precious of all. The soul lives for a time within the body, and the body temple is the last bastion for safety, security, and the individuality of every human on earth. It is the last defense against the outside world. A tyrant will always seek a way into the hearts and minds of man. Even more sinister than the threat of oppression to the mind and spirit is the forcible harm to that of the person themselves. By proclamation and then subordination, man has repeatedly been trampled underfoot by tyrants throughout history. Dictatorships may emerge in various forms, such as, but not limited to, autocratic, bureaucratic, medical, militaristic, monarchic, political, plutocratic, religious, scientific, and technocratic. The first line of defense against those who would violate and ransack your temple, seeking to bring you to heel under their domination and control, begins with one word: no. Oppressors will always resort to violence to force their will upon an otherwise peaceful people or persons. Where there is no crime, there should be no punishment. There can be no just law which forbids a man's right to protect his own sovereign temple. His body is his fortress, the home of his soul. And if they will not heed your warning and should continue to violate you, then as your natural right, given by God, you may defend yourself. All of nature expresses this inviolate law of self-defense when the body is threatened. To the degree a man breaks this law is to the degree he will be broken by it. Eons have passed, and still man has yet to learn the law of balance. All men are extensions of all other men, and what one man does to another, he inevitably does to himself. If a tyrant is to be disposed, he must be resisted. Without resistance, his wanton acts of cruelty will go unchallenged until every facet of what was once a good life will be lost to darkness. Will you go to your grave with the knowledge that you succumb to the will of evil? Will you let your children face this threat alone? Will you do nothing while your friends, family, and neighbors are hauled away in your sight? Or will you say, no?
Come on, think of something fast, would ya?
What? Hey, what?
No.
Quiet!
No.
Quiet, what are you doing?
Look at that. Yeah. Go and get some, boy.
No! Son of a bitch! No! Jesus Christ!
For freedom.